Welcome to Season 4 of The Biz Show, sponsored by InvestQuire. Discover what's next with this insightful podcast. And now, your hosts, Barry and Lisa.
Hey, Lisa, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for asking me. I'm doing quite well.
I didn't call you Lisa today. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like being with a stranger.
Sometimes I just have to change it up.
I know it's catches me off guard, but I love it. Keeps me on my toes.
I was calling you Lisa for 20 years now.
25 or 20 something
like
years,
that,
I
yeah.
know.
So it's been a long time. And before I even knew or heard of the Lisa and the call or whatever, I never even knew what that was.
Well, when you had your band, I think you called me Lisa and the Cult Jam because it kind of was like that was the venue that we were always at together. I was always promoting your band, and you were always playing music in the local.
I don't remember. I've slept since then, so I probably forgot a lot of that stuff.
Well, Lisa, you're probably the only one that calls me that, to be quite honest.
All right.
You have the trademark on it.
There you go. I'm going to charge royalties for anyone else that calls you that.
I'm going to use our business terminology.
There you go.
There we go.
Well, listen, everybody. Welcome to the Biz Show. Appreciate you being here. And welcome back for those who are joining us again. This is episode 8, Lisa.
Episode 8. Oh my gosh. And it's season 4, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I cannot believe it's season 4 already. I feel like we just started InvestQuire yesterday.
I have fun doing these. I really do. You know me, I like to educate people and I like to drill down on stuff and things like that. But to me, and we're getting a lot of feedback from people. Thank you for doing this. I've learned a lot from this. I'm learning that. I don't have them with me right now, but on our next podcast, we've got some questions. And so I will we'll answer some of those questions for our listeners.
I can't wait. I love to be caught off guard like you just did at the intro. So don't show me the questions. I will answer off the cuff, whatever you got, Barry.
There you go. Well, listen, this episode is about your first 10 customers, right? And where to find them. And
yeah.
We're not going to sit there and talk about what everyone else says. Oh, where do you find your first 10 customers? Your friends, your family, trade shows, networking events. No, we're not talking about.
Yeah, those are the obvious ones. I mean, you really do have business right at your fingertips because those people are definitely going to be obviously supporting you with the opening of your business. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. We want you to understand where they may come from.
Yeah,
and we always talk on every episode. We always say, know your audience, know where that customer is coming from, right?
Right.
Know what your target is. Yeah.
And so your first customers you want aren't about marketing. Forget marketing. They're not marketing, right? They're about really validating your concept. It's precision. You're looking for very specific customers, right? That can provide information back to you. Right? Information, various different types of information. We'll kind of go through some of that, right? But, most startups, they don't fail because they got a bad product, right? They fail because they don't know what they're doing or who their customers are or what information they should be getting, right? It's just throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks.
That's right. I mean, your first 10 customers are not going to be random people. They're going to be your targeted demographic person that you are intentionally seeking out with your product or service. And you should know who that is. That's part of your research in terms of creating your business plan and starting your company. So you're not looking for the initial volume to just burst through the doors. You're looking for the right customer that loves the product, loves your service, and loves you. So you're getting that validation that what you did put out there with the opening of your company is working and it's pleasing to your consumer. Right. So these first things define who your 10 customers are and how you're doing and giving you feedback to your product and services.
Yeah. So let's define. Who are these people, right? Where do they come from? Who are they, right? So they're your early adopters. They are problem aware of what's happening and going on and why you're here and providing the service or product, so on and so forth. They have urgent needs, right? So again, I mentioned, I think last episode, if you're a plumber and they got a leak, right? They have an urgent need. They are also more tolerant to mistakes, imperfections, right? Because number one, they got an emergency, right? So they got to get that emergency handled, so on and so forth. And they will become strategic accounts for you, right? So they're going to be your longest customers. If you've done your job right and you're doing everything, they're going to stick around the longest. They're going to know the most about you and they can help you. And that's how I've always kind of positioned when I in the past have done stuff. It's like, hey, look, I'm just getting started at, you know this and so on and so forth, but can you help me? Here's what I need to know. And then they'll gladly provide you that information.
You want them to be your repeat customer so that they're going out and spreading the word about your company to other people. And then you'll be able to increase that volume. But your first 10 customers are not the bargain shoppers, the ones that are like looking for a deal. Those are not your first 10 customers. Usually those bargain shoppers are coming down the road later when they heard about you from so and so and so and so. And then they're, doing their comparison shopping. They're also not your casual interest buyer. Somebody's just kind of feeling out, the types of services you are, because your first 10 customers are going to be somebody that's there for a need, an urgent need, and they're trying you out for the first time. They're also not like your long sales cycle or your really great enterprise clients. Those are something that you work up towards, with repeat clientele and whatnot. So you are just going to get somebody like a stranger walking off the street. They saw your building or saw your sign or saw your ad or whatever online, and they're calling you up because they need you right now, immediately. And they're going to test you out and they're going to determine whether or not they're going to come back a second time or refer you to new clients. So
Right.
that's the difference between the first time and then people that are not, in that category.
Yeah, exactly. And here, what do you want to get from them, right? Well, you want to get feedback.
Yeah.
That's precious. That right there is the gold nugget, right? And
That'll help.
yeah, validate pricing, right? Make sure that your pricing's on target, and then also case use, right? Is this right for them? So on and so forth. And then if you've done everything right, grab a testimonial from them, right?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Definitely have them write something up so you can get some traction and your visibility online. If you do have your business posted online, all those testimonials help you gain that algorithm and that traction.
Yeah.
So here's some and tactical ways to find your first 10 customers. So we're going to get to the nut and bolts of this podcast. So Barry, what are some creative and tactical ways
Well,
to find them?
again, we talked about we're not doing social media, right? I mean, yeah, you can do that and that's great and you will get customers of that, but for these customers, we're specifically looking for very niche customers, right? So suggestions would be to find those niche communities and start doing some communication in there, right? Perhaps forums, you might want to hit forums that are specific to whatever you're doing, right? Not the broad forms. Again, social media is okay, but a lot of those social medias and Facebook and everything have very defined niche groups of people. Those are the people you want, right? Not just a broad blanket, because that goes nowhere. Good places, Reddit, Quora. I do a lot of work in Quora and Reddit, answering business questions and stuff like that. And then Discord, I'm not really a Discord guy. That started out as kind of like a gaming type of communication tool. It's kind of turned in now to more like a WhatsApp or whatever the case might be. But it also has a lot of different niche groups and forums that you can get into. So those are really the places you should focus on, right?
Yeah. And
So
there's some key ways how to do it. So you don't want to like pitch immediately your product or service. And then if there's like disinterest in it, then nobody's going to pay attention to your future pitches. So definitely kind of work your way in the group, say hi to people, maybe comment on other people's products and services, and just kind of get that relationship building going and get noticed basically, and then pitch your product. So participate in that for about 2 to 3 weeks and, establish your audience, right?
yeah,
Identify the recurring problems that are in the marketplace or that the consumer is experiencing and be able to speak to those precisely. So you're targeting again your market audience, and then reach out privately to members like off of the forum, maybe off the side in a private DM or something to those people that are making complaints about the product or complaints about what their issues are. And then you could like speak to those and offer your services directly to them, or maybe give them buy two, get one free sort of discount or something like that, just to get them to come in and try your product or service.
yeah,
So the message is, yeah,
you're spot on there. That's exactly what I've done with Reddit and with Core is I'll go into a discussion. I'll monitor that discussion for about a week or so. I'll communicate in that discussion, so on and so forth. And then somebody might get a solution, maybe not mine, maybe somebody else might find a solution. But what I'll do is I'll pin that and then I'll follow up a week later and say, hey, so and so gave you this suggestion. How did that work out for you? Right
Right.
on a DM, right? So it's not in the overall chat, and then you just start building that rapport. It's about relationship building, right?
Yeah, that's a very strategic and very intentional way to go about it. And that's exactly what we're trying to make here at this point on our podcast today. So I noticed that, some people mention they're struggling with something and you want to be able to speak to that. So definitely pay attention in those groups and then target those specific customers because those are your customers, right?
Right, right. So next it would be to reach out to your vendors because guess what? Your vendors have customer lists, right? And so work an angle, if you will, some type of thing, maybe even a profit sharing or whatever the case might be, to work with that vendor, and that vendor can perhaps provide you with some customers for your business, right? So who are those? Well, if you're a plumber or a air conditioning guy or whatever, right? Equipment suppliers, finance suppliers, software suppliers, right? Those are all people who work within your niche, your industry, right? So
Yeah.
start there.
So many people are co-sponsoring with their vendors or with their support team to do like co-marketing webinars, just to introduce the actual, vendor and you, the supplier of a product or service to the public through a webinar. And so it's really like giving them some back-end information about what they are buying, what they will be receiving, and then you're going to be, of course, the business that's providing that service or product. So webinars are huge. You reach a mass of people, doing that online, and it kind of helps you gain some traction, right? You can offer with your vendor to maybe give them a referral swap of either a customer or monetarily, you can give them some referral for any business that they bring into your doors. So this is a shortcut and it bypasses the cold outreach because vendors are really what people are going to be wanting to listen to in terms of like how their product is maybe different than another.
Yeah, back when I was at GE Capital, I partnered with Microsoft. I partnered with HP. I partnered with Dell. We back then would actually go on physical location to the client site. Dell would say, "Hey, we work with GE. We want to bring GE and sit down. They can solve this problem." Or I would say, "Hey, you guys got these issues. We're doing an RFP, a request for proposal. You need 1,000 computers, whatever the case might be. Let me bring in HP. Let's sit down and talk about this, right?" And so it was a cohesive type of teamwork. And that's how I landed big accounts. That's how I landed Levi Strauss. I partnered with HP. I partnered with Microsoft. I partnered with Cisco, which is Cisco router switches and firewalls.
Business so that you'll give them more orders, right? So it's definitely a win-win situation for the
Yeah.
vendor. And if they're sponsor you in the beginning of your business to get you to get that traction, the first 10 customers, and then the next 10 and the next 10, they're going to be happy that you're doing such a great rate with your conversion and your turnover. And so they're going to continue to support your business down the road too. I know that when we had the door and window company, we would have like Anderson or Milgard Windows sponsor us to do home and garden shows because
Yeah.
then we were out like making conversations, representing their product. And then, of course, whatever sales we did, we would order the product from the vendor. So it's just a wonderful way. So ask your vendors, don't be shy. Ask them, please, can you sponsor me on some events or how do you want to co-market together so we can bring you more business and thus me more business? So
Exactly, Lisa. And when you said that, what popped in my mind, think of this. You are your number one employee. You're the
yeah,
top employee, right? So all your other employees are going to follow suit. You have to be the one that has the skill set to go out to those vendors and have that conversation, build that relationship. You can hire other people to do that, absolutely, but you need to start it, right? You need to get that foundation built so other people can see that and then duplicate that, right? Rinse and repeat.
yes, definitely. Do what's working, repeat it repetitively for
Right,
sure.
right. There's other places too that you can find the types of customers you're looking for, right, Lisa?
Oh,
So
yeah, for sure.
a bunch of databases. There's regulatory databases. There's licensing databases, right? As a real estate agent, right? We can look you up and see you and where you're at and stuff like that, right? You and I've looked up for attorneys in the past and got list of attorneys and things like that.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, everything's at our fingertips now, especially with LinkedIn and Google, right?
Right.
So, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So how do you use that, right? I would say, like, if you're going to look up that database or whatever, you're going to look obviously in your geographical area, right? Unless you have a product that can go anywhere or a service that can go anywhere. And then, you might want to also take a look at newly formed companies, right?
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Newly formed companies.
And you can get those lists online as well. Or you could reach out with the specific industry that you're in and message other competitors, I suppose. This is like a high target prospecting, maybe do a co-event with another competitor and just to bring you both some business off of the street. I know we do that a lot with real estate. We'll both host open houses in the same neighborhood to just bring the traction to both of the houses.
There you go. Bring the traffic to the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's right.
Won't you be my neighbor?
Mr. Rogers, we all know that one.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah, he had quite the following.
Yes. So what's next, Lisa? Where's another place? There's something that I'm just really aching to talk about here. I've used
Are
it
you
many times. Yes. Well,
drag it out of
well, newly funded companies, right? Brand new
Yes.
companies that started up, but there's a caveat, right? That caveat, where can you find those? Well, and specifically, I said newly funded companies, meaning a venture capitalist, a private equity firm, or a family office, or have funded them, have given them their funding, right?
Yeah, they're gonna do press releases, they're gonna be in the local business journals or the pitch book. So you'll be able to find them there, and then you'll be able to seek those guys out.
Hey, Crunchbase is really good for that too. And the reason why you want these people, guess what? They got money, they just got funded, right? They're also brand new, so they don't have the traction or the bandwidth on their employees or their staff to really get the job done. So you can plug yourself right in, right?
Yeah, you raise your hand and go, "I can do it."
I can do it. We can do the service for you.
Yes, exactly. And you want to be really friendly about it and create that relationship. We always say it's a relationship world, or business that you'll do. So congratulate them and give them some acknowledgement there. And that's a great way to open the door to that conversation and
Yes.
reference the fund so that they know that you did your research and that you are, somebody that's worthy to talk to.
Yeah, definitely so. When you tie that solution in to their expansion, that just kind of closes the deal right there, doesn't it?
There you go. Yeah. And then also another way to find your customer is through hiring boards and job postings. This is underused, but kind of, really powerful because if it's like a company is hiring for their sales managers or their marketing director, or operations manager, or controller, then they must be having some pain points where their level of service is not up to par in that area. So it's really cool to use that to your advantage. You can do that through searching Indeed or LinkedIn jobs, and then you'll be able to know who is actually looking to do some hiring and firing and replacing their staff. So, yeah, identify those companies that are doing that and then reach out, offer support in that exact function to them.
Yeah.
So, you're solving their problem for them, which they
That
can bring you business.
that is a great way because they have a pain point, right? They have a open and a disconnect. You can plug that in. Another way too, and I've done this on LinkedIn many times, is you search for employees to have worked for companies that you're targeting, right? So if you're targeting a particular company, you can actually go in and search, and in a search, and you can type in former GE Capital. And then it'll
Interesting.
find all the former GE Capitals and plug them up there for you. And then you can reach out to them. Specifically, if you're looking for introductions to people, or if you're looking for a way that they do business or how they do business or what products they use to do business, right? There's a lot of different angles here that you can use to help you target that company. And then, of course, perhaps turn those into customers.
That is such a good point. I love that one. Actually, a lot of people probably don't think of that. And then also trigger events. So you look for those leadership changes or those mergers and acquisitions, any expansion announcements. You want to look for those too, or maybe brand new location openings and rebranding. These events will signal a huge change, and the change creates the buying window and the need for you. Yeah, that's definitely a trigger event is something that you want to keep in tune with.
Yeah. Another place you could look at, B2B marketplaces like, Capterra, G2, perhaps, vendor directories, procurement portals, stuff like that, right? even if they're not selling directly, you can still get information from them, see who's reviewing the competitors, perhaps who's doing searches on what. We're new to YouTube here, right? So whereas we have a really good following already out in our audio world at Spotify and Pandora and all that stuff, we're still trying to build our listener viewership. And I say listeners because I'm so used to talking about listeners, but our viewership here on Facebook. I'm so Facebook on YouTube. Wow, there we go. But now I'm studying and trying to figure out how do we attract traffic, how do we get our message out there and stuff like that, and start building our viewership up. And so some of these can really, really help in regards to strategies. Not necessarily it's going to give us access to the people themselves, but how to align, right? So who's reviewing other videos and keywords and stuff like that, and then what they're searching. There's I've learned something called vidIQ, and it's a website. You got to pay for it, but it's a website that allows you to dissect everything about YouTube, all the keywords, the videos, how people found them, so forth. I've got a lot of learning to do yet, but
No, you have the spare time to do that. So thank you for doing that.
yeah.
Somehow you get it all done. So that's amazing.
Well, I'm
Thank you.
I'm
That's
I'm
a good.
I'm typically up about 5:30 in the morning, and I'm already in my office. Feet are kicking in. I'm just running like hell already, and then I'm gonna work till 5, 6 o'clock. So it's a 12-hour, 13-hour day most days for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You're still working when it's only 2 o'clock here, 3 o'clock. You're still working into the evening hours.
Well, I got you people now on the West Coast that are calling me at 5, which is 8 o'clock my time. So
Oh, that needs to be. I love it.
I just say you left coasters because you're on the wrong side of the coast now.
Let's not talk left, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you also, okay, we'll go back to the podcast.
Yeah.
You might run a pilot or beta cohort strategy, right? And select 10 businesses intentionally and then offer them a discounted early access to your platform or direct founder support, influence, the product direction or make it exclusive and say we're onboarding only the first 10 and, create the excitement and the buzz and for them to engage with you.
Right. I wanted to make a point too. It just popped up when you said that. When you are asking for feedback from your customers on your product or your services, shut up. Listen to them. Don't sway them one way or another because you want the that information and the raw data to go with that, right? If you try to sway them, the information you're getting is no good anymore.
We've talked about suppliers and vendors in your ecosystem. We've already covered that pretty much.
Right, right. And so how do you approach these people, right? These first 10 people, right? Again, we've talked about elevator pitches and your 2-minute pitch, so on and so forth. So those are always good things to have in your pocket, right? Just
Get
be
to the
Yeah, get to the pain. That's the best place you can go, right? If they have a pain and you step on that nerve, right? People, they're going to listen,
definitely, yeah.
right?
Recently, I just became interested in detoxing from like mold. And so I was really doing some research and in my phone, because our phones hear us or they're linked to our brains and the way we think now, popped in a um, intro sweat house for like infrared therapy and cold plunges and whatnot to help get the toxins out of your body and shrink inflammation. And so it was like, I mean, it's right there in your hand, literally, like a service, a business was popped into my phone. And so now I am a member of that business and I go there. There you have it. So that was very direct. They spoke to my pain point. I booked a session. They gave me a $40 intro. Wonderful ever since. Yeah, be direct, speak to those pain points, and you'll be able to get your first 10 customers. And this is a brand new infrared sauna studio, cold plunge studio that opened up in my neighborhoods.
Wow, cool. It's funny. I looked into cold plunges. You mentioned cold plunges, right? So I looked into a cold plunge, and now I'm seeing ads and commercials everywhere for a cold plunge. I'm even seeing it on my TV.
Yeah.
Okay, I expect it from my phone, but now my TV too. However, It's,
Yeah,
it's a smart TV, so you sign up with your email, which my phone is tied to my email, so that's how it knew to get. I'm assuming, I don't know. It's a TV, right? It doesn't have a camera. It doesn't have a microphone. It's got speakers, so I don't know.
it's like Alexa. It's in our brain. I don't know.
I
I don't
don't
know
I don't have an Alexa. I don't have what's the other one? I don't have those.
the dot or
I don't
something.
have a Dot. I don't have Alexa. I got my cell phone.
Don't even have an Apple phone. You don't even go there. Okay,
Don't
that's
even
another
talk
problem.
to me about Apple.
One episode we're gonna compare Apple and Android. It'll just be so fun because then you really see
That would be a good podcast to have, right?
there's two
And
corporations. Yeah,
I have a personal story with Apple that forbids me from
speaking about it,
using Apple. It's just I have a bad taste in my mouth, right? I had a bad experience,
right?
and I don't think they do good business practice, and because of that, I refuse to buy their products or work with them.
You or you're right to your opinion, absolutely.
Yeah, I got an opinion just like everyone else. They stink. Well, listen,
Well, yeah,
let's focus, yeah, as you said on this, back to the podcast again, focus on the pain, focus on the urgency, you know, and avoid giving them your pitch deck, right? If this is, your first meetings and stuff like that. The conversation might only last 30 seconds. You don't have time to pitch your entire business plan to them, right? And you never should pitch your entire business plan. But how many times have in the past, not now because we know better, but in the past, sending out mass emails everywhere, there's two things that happen. Number one, nothing. Number two, you get put on a spam list because you're a spammer now because you send out too many emails.
oh my gosh, and back in the day, it was all about, postage, mailers and
Oh,
putting them through the mail, and then you get all this junk mail in your mailbox. Over time, I'm sure all of you can see how that has decreased now because it's all coming into our email, which is free, and there's less junk mail, right? But
you
yeah,
know,
that was that waste sometimes. You do it, like, for 18 months straight just to get, like, the statistic of return business on your postage and your mailers.
yeah,
So, yeah,
crazy.
right? So let's talk about our pro tips on to wrap this up, right?
Yeah, yeah, we've got 5 pro tips and of course 5 things to avoid, right? So what's the first tip there, Lisa?
Well, target your customers that you know are already feeling the pain, and then you'll know how to speak to them and you will get them to be your client.
Yes. And also, I would add to that, you should understand their pain, right? And
Oh, yeah.
understand how your service or product is going to affect that pain,
Yeah.
right?
A lot of business owners formulate their business because of their own personal experience. And so then when they're selling, it just comes so natural because they've encountered the problem already
Right.
themselves.
And then look for the trigger events, right? It's not all about the messaging, it's more about the timing, right? So if they've got that pain right now and you're right there, well, boom, you can handle it. They're fine. Here you go. Here's my money. Handle it.
Yeah, they'll never forget you. They'll be like,
Hmm.
thank you so much.
Yes.
Number three, be hyper specific in your outreach. Speak to the product, speak to the individual, speak to the pain point, be very specific and direct.
Yeah. Another suggestion would be exclusivity, right? Again, start and say something along the lines that, hey, we're onboarding 10 new customers, right? That gets some exclusivity to it. It gives a sense of urgency to it. But more importantly, it can also help you then and tell them why, right? Because we're looking for very specific customers. We're looking for feedback and all the stuff that we mentioned at the top of the show here.
Yeah. And the last pro tip, number five, is choose your clientele, like carefully select them so that it helps you show up in the marketplace even better and of more value. You want those customers to really speak about you and highlight you and all of your and validate who you are. So choose your customers wisely that help you refine your business, not just pay you. You don't just want any customer off the street that doesn't really represent your product or service very well.
Right, right, exactly. So those are the 5 pro tips there to think about. And also here's 5 things that you should avoid. Number one is chasing volume before you've even validated. Validate it first. That's what these 10 customers are for, right? Grab these 10 customers, work with them one-on-one, fine-tune everything, validate it, stuff like that. Then start focusing on the volume. Don't start focusing on the volume from day one. You're gonna fail.
That's right.
You're gonna fail.
Yeah. Exactly. And then you don't want to underprice your product and service. Don't want to give too many discounts up front and look like needy and desperate. So definitely be careful on the pricing strategy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And then targeting customers outside of what you do. right? I mean, if you're selling sinks, right, and you're targeting somebody that needs a new gas tank in their car, where's the correlation? How are you going to help them? How are they going to help you?
I know.
Right?
So yeah, that's funny, Barry.
I was trying to make it funny. I guess it worked.
But some people, maybe they're not aware that they're doing that. So yeah.
True. So just make sure that you pinpointed and targeted that's customer specific.
And another thing to avoid is ignoring the feedback that you're getting from the early business, and the first 10 customers are the key to refine your business, to pivot, to make it better, to increase your productivity. So don't ignore it. Use it as positive feedback and make the changes where it's necessary so you can keep getting them to come back. Then you
Yeah.
could reach out, call them up and you say, hey, that was such a great feedback. I actually added this to my services so that you'll be able to come back and enjoy them. So it gives you a reason to call them, right?
Yeah. Another key word to that is pivot, right?
David,
I had to figure that, put that in there somewhere. I had to wait till the end of the podcast to do it, but here it is. But you know what? Honestly, that's the kiss of death, right? If you've got these 10 customers, you brought them in for feedback and you don't listen, why are you in business?
yeah.
Right? Lastly is trying to scale too soon, right?
Mhm.
Before you can prove the concept is validated and works and that it's repeatable, right? Rinse and repeat. You know, maybe you rinsed it, but you can't repeat it. Well, then that's going to do you no good. It's a one-time thing.
One and done.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yep.
Yeah. So wrap it up.
Wrap it up. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. That's a song too. We did, I remember we did that song. Yeah.
Lisa and the Cult Jam and Barry Best Pitch. We're going to start wrapping.
There you go. Well, anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to Lisa and I, and the Biz Show. They can find us where, Lisa?
Oh, you can find us all over Facebook. We have InvestQuire pages. We have the Biz Show page. We have a website, investquire.com. We're also on Instagram.
Yeah.
And YouTube.
We're here on YouTube. Please hit that subscribe button. Help us grow this channel, right?
I know. We'd love to hear from you. So keep leaving us comments. That'll help our traction and algorithm. So
yes,
definitely leave some comments and we'd love to hear from you. And hopefully you could be on our show.
Yeah. Thank you guys much. Appreciate it. Have a great day and go make some money.
Yes. Bye.
Thank you all for listening to the Biz Show podcast. Subscribe to stay updated and follow Barry and Lisa on Facebook at The Biz Show. Share your comments or suggest business topics that you'd like to hear. Thank you all for listening. Bye.